So I thought it'd be helpful to talk about true empathy and what true empathy, the definition of true empathy is in A Course in Miracles. I happen to be A Course in Miracles is a very powerful spiritual text that's been around for a long time. It happens to be my particular path, and it discusses what one could say universal spiritual truths. And it does happen, as I said, to be my particular uh, path. So, A Course in Miracles says that true empathy has to do with seeing the truth in your brother or sister, or the truth in every any given situation. It's when I was in my life, my understanding of being empathetic had more to do with showing care and concern, authentic care and concern about others, or perhaps a situation that seems to be happening. And also, I used to, and I still do, I guess, consider myself an empath. Um, a lot of people in the spiritual community or people in general can relate to feeling the feelings of others, being sensitive towards the feelings of others. So, I think in the last couple of decades, or maybe 30 years or so, the term empath has been kind of tossed around as this idea that has to do with being able to experience the feelings of others, or having a sense of caring, true caring about other people or other situations that happen that might be going on. Now, A Course in Miracles is a bit different, though. A Course in Miracles says that true empathy has to do with seeing the truth, the spiritual identity in your brother or your sister, particularly if they're calling for love, if they're calling for help, or they seem to be going through something difficult, or yourself, right? True empathy is, the Course says, not to join in with this idea of I guess you could say, to not join in with the suffering that appears to be going on. Now, this is something that you do internally, okay? I'm definitely not saying if someone is going through something, or you're going through something, or there happens to be something going on in the world that appears to be disastrous or difficult or something of that nature, it's not appropriate to say that. This is not about what you say. This is about, or do even, this is about what you think. You always want to use discernment when expressing care or engaging with others, or what we post on social media. But what this does say is to take a look at what's going on in your mind. How are you viewing that situation? How are you viewing it? So, to have true empathy means to go back to the mind and the spiritual truth of who you are and who your brothers and sisters are. That we are made in spirit, that we are eternal spiritual beings. This is what A Course in Miracles discusses, and that we were created by God in spirit, and that is what true empathy is about. Now, for those of you, whoever, if you don't believe in God, that's okay. You don't have to, but there is something in your heart that you believe in, and that's called love. You certainly love and care for others. So that's what I'm encouraging everyone to tune into, is the love in their hearts. And if you're facing something either in your own life, or what seems to be the lives of others, or what seems to be something going on in the world, we want to take a step back and take a breath and think about this definition coming from A Course in Miracles, which encourages us to not join in the suffering. Now, whatever emotions that may come up during something that seems to be difficult, whatever that is, those have to be faced. They indeed have to be faced and looked at. No one's talking about just bypassing something and, saying some spiritual colloquialism or cliche. No one's saying that. And I'm not saying that, but I am saying, excuse me, to definitely go back to your mind and face whatever it is you're feeling about that situation or circumstance or person. There might be a person that you don't like, or a person that you've had some sort of issue with, or whatever it is. So it doesn't mean that you don't take a look at your feelings and face your feelings. And it certainly doesn't mean you don't express care and love if you're called to do that, whether it's on social media or whatever way that is required. But what we don't want to do is join in the suffering. We don't want to reinforce in our minds any kind of egoic idea that is not an idea of God. We always want to, in our minds, remember the truth and see our brother or sister in their true light, instead of in our hearts identifying as some sort of victim. Okay, and you can certainly, anyone can do that in their mind. You can always go back to your mind and say, okay, I remember the truth. I remember the truth about how of God and how this person or this situation is in spirit. I'm going to look in my heart and remember that. And this is, again, I want to re-emphasize that that has to do with what's going on in your mind. It's not something you necessarily say, and it's not cold-hearted or cruel to think of it that way. It actually gives you a sense of peace as you look at the world and try to navigate yourself and engage in a world that clearly is not intended to be peaceful. How do you keep your peace of mind in a world that clearly seems completely crazy and insane? Well, that's how you do it, is you have to turn to a spiritual guidance. You have to go within, whatever way that means to you. When you feel troubling emotions about anything or anyone, you have to go within first, and then allow spirit to guide you in how to respond, what to say, what to do. But you want to keep your perception of it in the higher realms. You want to remember the truth. And you can always ask spirit, what is the truth? And that might require some deeper investigation and also facing what it is you believe. Okay? So I wanted to share that for today. And if you feel moved by this kind of content or what I'm sharing, it would be so helpful to click like on the video, perhaps subscribe, perhaps leave a comment, and that will help others to be able to connect with this content as well. Many blessings, and remember, always go within first to maintain your peace of mind.